Okay. All right. You all right? Okay. All right, then we call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So that authorizes you to advertise a resolution?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Okay, thank you. The next item is regarding the pension plan. Again, the the pension agreement between the borough and PMRS needs to be updated, and there was a checklist that needed to be completed regarding the current plan that had been circulated, and now I'm asking for a motion to authorize the President of Council to sign the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System Defined Benefit Municipal Contract Checklist.
So moved.
Submission of this checklist will start the process with PMRS. It doesn't bind the borough, it just gives them guidance for preparing the actual agreement.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
What I would propose is I can send that into Marcia. I think, Marcia, you may have that in the, because Pat completed it. But what I would ask is when it's completed, if you can send me the signed copy, because I've been in touch with the folks at PMRS, and I can just follow up by sending that in. Okay. All right. Next item is with regard to the Phillips Court development. This has been discussed at the last few meetings. I received an estimate, a written estimate from the borough engineer for the cost of replacing the 4 light fixtures at the property with an estimated total of $4,800 plus a 10% contingency of $480 for a total of $5,280. So what I'm asking for is a motion to approve Resolution 05-10-11. Do we have a letter on that, Marcia? Would that
Yes.
be B?
B.
B. Declaring default on the Cologne Associates. It's actually not an escrow account. They've signed an irrevocable letter of credit. So it would be declaring default under the Land Development and Financial Security Agreement. And then authorizing a withdrawal of $5,280.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a question, Paul. Are you confident that we have the legal right to take that action at this point?
I've reviewed the Land Development and Financial Security Agreement, and I do believe that the borough is within its right to do that. Again, I mentioned before that because of previous approvals and releases of escrow in the past, that I can anticipate the developer potentially taking a position on that, but I think that it's an appropriate action to take as they are in default for failure to maintain that property and to install the lights as required by the final plan.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then, just as a follow-up on that item, and I would ask for a motion authorizing me to take action necessary to forward this to the bank, Univest National Bank, and obtain those funds.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And just a note, the eventual improvements will be a contract entered into by the borough, and because the estimated price is over $4,000, it is going to have to be something that's we're going to have to get multiple estimates on. No, this money will come in, and under the agreement, it has to be put into a separate account. But you're still bound by the borough code, which requires any contract the borough enters into to follow certain rules.
So why is the borough getting involved with supplier for lights that belong to an association?
Because they didn't, and that was the discussion of the various types of relief that the borough can seek. One of them was to bring legal action to get an injunction forcing the developer to make the repairs. The other is to take the money out of the escrow account and make the repairs itself.
So you're going to ask for the funds in your account?
Not in my account. The borough will need to have a separate account, but
And it is going to be in what's right with the borough?
in a separate escrow account. Yes,
Just like
yeah, yeah. And what I would recommend is, this is based on an estimate from the engineer. So once we get the money, we get out there and try to find out what the bids are. If it turns out that it's in excess, then we can have another resolution passed for any excess so that the borough is not looking at paying more than we have in the escrow.
Is it an affirmative duty of the borough to, do we have to seek those additional bids, or is that something that could be deferred to the homeowners association when they provide us with the bids?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with another organization. However, the homeowners association has already given us a proposal, which Mary Ellen has reviewed, and there are a number of issues with it. They're looking to change the type of lights that were used, the type of, not the light bulb, actually. So there are a couple of concerns about that, and I mean, we can talk to them. I don't know that they're willing to go out and get multiple bids. They've offered to give us the initial estimate, which they've provided to us, but because it doesn't comply with the requirements of the final plan, we really can't use that proposal anyway.
Or they trade off.
They're trading down, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they wanted, and I apologize, I still don't have it with me, they wanted a different type of light, the sulfur light, which according to the engineer is not permitted under the zoning ordinance, so there are some changes. But yeah, they were talking about a replacement fixture that was not the same as the fixture that was in the plan. Mary Ellen was looking at the actual cost of that fixture. So, I mean, again, I think we need to...
What are the incurring engineering costs, along with administrative costs, to solve the association problem?
Well, not really. The engineering costs should be coming out of the escrow for Phillips Court as well, and as well as solicitor fees.
Should we note that?
I'm sorry?
Should we be noting that? Should we be authorizing you to do that tonight?
To do what?
To withdraw the amount necessary to cover the cost of the fixtures and invoices from you and from...
The amount that was authorized tonight was to take out of the irrevocable letter of credit.
Right.
There should be also a cash escrow that is available to pay the fees, and that's done in the ordinary course.
This has had such a checkered past.
I understand, and I'd be happy to follow up with Pat and see what the status is about it. Okay. Because I do believe there are funds remaining in the cash escrow, but you can confirm with her. There may not be. But that wouldn't come out of the irrevocable letter of credit at this point. Okay? All right, next item is the FEMA ordinance review. Now, this came up at the work session as well. Because of the new maps, a proposed ordinance was sent to the borough and a checklist was provided. And the question was, what's the next step in figuring out exactly how we need to update our ordinances? And since the work session, I've had a chance to review it. And essentially, it's a relatively comprehensive change to the section of our zoning ordinance that addresses floodplains. However, I don't think an across-the-board acceptance of the model ordinance that they provided is really feasible. It gets into a lot of issues like enforcement that are covered elsewhere in our zoning ordinance, and I don't think need to be addressed. We may need to adjust those provisions, but I don't believe that just passing the ordinance as it was would make sense. So my recommendation from the work session is my understanding of what I was asked to look into is that I think the way to go about this would be to figure out how to change our existing ordinance to comply with the requirements of these new, or how to comply with these new requirements. So at this point, I guess we need some authorization because I think Mary Ellen is going to be working on that. Unfortunately, she's not here, so I'm not exactly sure how much time she would be looking at. It's going to be a somewhat significant project because most of it has to be done by her because there are a lot of technical provisions in there, frankly, that I'm not familiar with as far as what the requirements are.
What is our the date by which this has to be done?
It's sometime. I believe that the ordinances are expected to be updated by August, anticipating the new maps being approved and effective as of November. So if we were to put this off and approve her time at the June meeting, that should get us into a position by a proposed ordinance at the July work session, advertising it at the July meeting, and then voting on it at August. So I think that would still work. It might be a little tight, but it should work.
Okay. So we'll need to contact her and get an estimate from her. Do you need authorization to start your work with it? Or?
No, I mean, at this point, really, it's kind of off my desk and back on Mary Ellen over the next month.
Okay.
I don't know that she can do a whole lot, but possibly 5 to 10 hours. I mean, leave it to council so that at least she can get somewhere on it. I'd rather not sit there for a month with no progress.
So we have a motion to authorize the borough engineer to begin to work on adjusting on changes to our zoning ordinance to accommodate the FEMA changes. We give her to authorize her to.
Authorization I think we agreed we would get an estimate.
Well, I mean, since Paul was just saying, just let her have her sitting for another 2 weeks till she gives us an estimate is probably not a good idea given the time frame we have, that if we could authorize her the initial 10 hours or so, and then she can come back and let us know how much more she needs.
I think I'd rather have some hours in there, so we know she's not going to just run all the way through this.
No, I don't follow you.
I'd like to have put a fence around her.
So if we said,
For the next work session.
to give her 10 hours between now and the next,
Yeah.
and then to come back, yeah. All right. So can I have a motion to that effect?
So
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, all right. What we're doing
The
is
discussion is, we're giving her 5
we're
hours or
giving her
10 hours
we're giving
to
her 10
start?
hours to
Okay.
get started, and then
All right.
she can give us an estimate of how much additional time she's going to need.
I
This
thought we were
is-
just waiting for an estimate, but
Well,
okay.
we really, I mean, the
Okay,
thing is, we
that's
have to
fine.
pass this in August, so we really, it's getting tight, so we need to allow her to get started. All right, so any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so I'll let her know she's 10 hours, and to then let us know how much more she's going to need. Okay. Okay,
And-
oh, there's one more.
The last item is on the parking structure ordinance. I don't know, in light of the timing, if we want to push this off. We were going to discuss the comments by the Planning Commission. They were just received before the work session, so it was an opportunity for everybody to review those comments. To be completely honest, I haven't had much of an opportunity to review them very thoroughly. I don't know if the Planning Commission has had a chance to review them, but those comments,
We could actually just authorize the planning commission to take a look at it between now and our work session, so they can get back to us with comments.
I think that makes sense.
Okay? Is that reasonable?
It's
Want
extremely
to
reasonable,
make a motion to that effect?
especially 11:10. It's
Yes, well,
extremely
let's,
reasonable.
yeah, so
God
would you like
bless
to
you.
make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Oh,
to
great.
have
Very
the
good.
review letter of the Bucks County Planning Commission on parking structures, definition/use ordinance referred to our Planning Commission for comment and to report back by our next work session.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess I've taken a look at
Can you use your microphone, please, Paul?
I've taken a look at the response from the Bucks County Planning Commission, and I raised this question last week at our work session about the motion that was made and the response that we're being given. The motion that was made specified parking structure definition use ordinance, and we got a response back from the Bucks County Planning Commission that covers the parking structure and off-street parking, which I do not believe we discussed as council. I asked John Burke about it yesterday when I spoke to him. He doesn't recall discussing it. And I want to know why we had work done on off-street parking when we were supposed to be talking about a parking structure.
The
So to the extent that
original,
to the extent that you want to refer to our planning commission, that's fine. But I'm not comfortable with the fact that we advanced this with the Bucks County Planning Commission without talking about it to council, especially the off-street parking.
the discussion, the parking, it's actually the parking requirements for various kinds of housing units, and that information was included in the information that was sent to council from the Planning Commission. It was part of the same ordinance change that was recommended by council, or not by council, by the Planning Commission to council, and that's what we asked to have sent to the Bucks County Planning Commission for their review.
But that's not what the motion called for. That's not what I voted for. Okay?
Well, in any
And-
case,
and-
they made comments on it, so we're going to send it back to the Planning Commission.
Well, I don't think it's appropriate for us to even have a discussion at the planning commission level until we have a discussion amongst ourselves. We're looking to make a significant change, and having heard about all of the concern for parking this evening, I think we'd be offsides if we have a discussion about it.
Well, I can postpone this to the work session, we can discuss it then, or if you'd like to have some feedback from the Planning Commission so that we can incorporate that with our discussion at the work session.
It would kind of make sense to get some feedback between now and then. I take your point, Bob. I'm not sure of the history myself, but
My preference would be for council to discuss this first.
I'm not quite sure what that accomplishes, though.
Then we can give the planning commission our feedback.
Is there any harm in letting the Planning Commission also look at it so they could be ready to give us their comment?
I'm sure they have already looked at it.
They haven't seen it yet.
Haven't seen
They
it
haven't
yet.
met since we received the letter.
We don't send out the memorandum
They-
the memorandum was sent to Newtown Borough Council and the Newtown Planning Commission.
They've
on
received
May
it, but
4th.
they did not meet to discuss it, so they've had no comment on it.
I think we're offsides.
Can we leave it up to them to discuss?
Can we compromise on this and send it to the Planning Commission to review the parking structure aspect of the Bucks County Planning Commission's comments, but to reserve on the off-street parking aspect of
Well,
it?
it's in the letter. I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal. I really don't. I mean, I understand Bob's point. We could refer to the EAC, too, as a compromise, and they'd be totally befuddled. But I don't think that would be effective. So,
Well-
I don't know. I think, Bob, if it's sent to the Planning Commission,
I don't agree.
I don't know why you want to
I don't agree.
delay
Let's
it.
see,
You can vote, call the vote. I don't agree.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, since, Paul, since the letter from the Bucks County Planning Commission was also addressed to the Borough Planning Commission, they really don't need us to refer it to them for them to respond, is it? They can still look at it, and they can respond to council if they so choose.
I would
that
agree
be
with that.
correct? All right. So,
I knew there was a reason we had a solicitor.
that's right. Mike, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Happily.
Okay, and who seconded? Did anyone second the motion?
I probably did.
Would you like to withdraw your second?
Sure.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we will put this
Getting late.
discussion onto our work session agenda then.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Paul?
No, I have nothing.